Hey everyone, I'm so glad you're here. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit more about where I grew up and so you guys can get to know me a little bit better. Most of you, if not all of you, know that me and my husband grew up in Mexico. We are currently living in Saskatchewan, Canada, but we both grew up in Mexico. And I did record some videos and I want to show you a little bit, but I have to backtrack a little bit. So the first place that my parents, where I was born, kind of, that was a very old house. It was even old back then, and the house is still there, but it's very, very old. I'll show you a picture of it. And the house had 3 rooms: the kitchen, the living room, which also served as my parents' bedroom, and then it had a large room where we slept in, me and my sisters, and it was also a bathroom. It didn't have a toilet in there though, only the bathtub and a sink. We had to use an outdoor toilet. And it was also kind of a storage area, pantry area, and basically everything in one. And yeah, I do remember growing up there. And then when I must have been around 4 or 5 years. 2001, that's when my parents moved into, or when we moved into a new house. My parents built their own house. It was in the same village, just a few kilometers down the road. And yeah, my dad is a very hardworking man, and he did most of the building. He would hire people for some things, but most of it he did. And it was very unfinished when we moved into it. I do remember that. I do remember small pieces here and there of moving into the new house. But yeah, and then I started school when I think I was 5 probably. But I do remember that I did not have fun in school the first year or 2. And if you didn't know, I went to an all-colony school, which is everybody is in the same room. From 5 years old to 12 years old, whatever. We're all in the same room. And I went to that school my whole life. And that is the school, if you want to see. It is different if you're not familiar with those schools. And I had the same teacher my whole life, which I had a really, really good teacher, but not a whole lot of people can experience that, but I did. And yeah, my mom was very, very busy because me and my 4 sisters are very close in age, and then there was a little bit of a gap, and then we had a little brother, and then a little bit of a gap as well, and we had another little sister. But yeah, my mom used to be very, very busy. But yeah, I recorded some videos showing you around my parents' yard and my parents' house, a tiny little bit. So I hope you enjoy seeing a little bit where I grew up. I'm quickly going to show you around at my parents' yard a little bit. It needs quite a bit of work, but my mom has been so busy. We used to be able to keep it up, but it is a pretty big yard with lots of trees and a garden and stuff, so it takes a lot of work to keep it up. So I'll show you around a little bit. As you can see, some of the trees have some issues going on, but it's so hard to get to them, to spray them or whatever, because they're so tall. So, as I said, it's a lot of work to keep it up, and they're doing their best. Obviously right now is not summer or spring, so everything looks a little bit dead and sad or whatever, but maybe you can see this is my mom's garden, and she has another spot right here. I don't know if you can see what a beautiful day it is. I'm standing in my parents' garden, and yeah, I wanted to prepare something for supper, and I noticed that I needed carrots and remembered that Mom usually leaves her carrots in the garden over the winter, and there you go. I have some carrots for supper. And these are all their fruit trees. It's kind of like a little orchard. These are cherry trees, and then most of the rest are peaches. And this is actually a plum. I think that's what they're called. And yeah, this is peaches, and this is apple trees. So yeah, it's definitely all dry, and it does look a lot different in the summertime. So I would love to show you around in the summertime sometime, because it looks so good. I love the yard. Yeah, I wish I had more time, or I was here more of the time, and then I would help out in the yard and try to keep more of the trees alive and stuff like that. But yeah, and this is a little play area, whatever you want to call it. That side of the yard doesn't have a lot of trees. That used to be a barn because my parents used to own a few cattle and stuff, but right now it's just a storage shed. So, and they planted some more trees right there, but they have put buckets around them to protect them of the wind. But yeah, I like to view the mountains. We can see the mountains all around, which is really nice. All the birds. Looks like the bird bath needs filling up. But yeah, these are actually blooming. So a little bit about the weather in this specific area. It does get harsh. Like this past night or last night was, I don't know, maybe 6 below zero. And then right now it's a little bit chilly. I could just use a sweater, but I have my jacket. But anyways, the sun is shining really warm. It's really comfortable, like, to be in the sun. And as you can see, there's a little bit of wind, and that's what's a little bit colder. Like, the wind is colder, but the sun is so warm. Like, that's what makes the winters here so much more mild than we were used to in Saskatchewan. But it also gets cold too. So it's just cold during the night, and then it warms up during the day. But another thing that we have lots and lots of wind during the winter. So I'm kind of used to it. I don't really think about it, but we would have sandstorms basically. I think I've took a couple of clips, but anyways, if I haven't, it's basically the wind is so strong that it blows up a lot of dust and sand, and then yeah, those days are not my favorite, but that's just the way it is. That's the way the weather is, and that is okay. I still enjoy it. I think it's a beautiful area to live in, but at the same time, I'm okay living in Saskatchewan. So So, and I'm gonna show you a little bit what we all did, me and Johnny, while we were here. So this is my mom's laundry room, and these are just plastic, I don't know, plastic sheets that we put up, or I don't know what you would call them, but they're waterproof. So we put those up here in the laundry room, which looks so much better now. And Mom wants to paint the walls yet, but I don't think we're gonna get to it while we are here. But yeah, that is one project that we finished. I'll show you around. Yeah. These are my brother's fish, so that is kind of his business there. So this is my mom's kitchen, and they are heating their house with a wood stove, as you can see. And behind here is just wallpaper that we put up a couple of years ago when we were here. We repainted the whole kitchen, or basically redid the whole kitchen, kind of. We painted the kitchen cabinets and then put up wallpaper behind. It's not a real backsplash, but it is wallpaper. And then we also painted this cabinet. This is an old cabinet that we just repainted and made it a little coffee station. So yeah, that is basically my mom's kitchen. It looks so different from what it did when we got married, and I like it. I think it looks homey. And quickly, this is the living room. Okay, so enough about me. So now I want to show you a little bit about where Johnny grew up. So he grew up about 20 minutes north of where I grew up at, but we didn't know that we existed till I was probably 15 when I kind of got to know his family. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting, growing up so close together, but obviously you don't know everybody in your area, so that just happens. But yeah, he grew up closer to the woods and the mountains as I did. And I know he spent lots and lots of times in the woods with friends, and also, yeah, he would ride his horse and whatever. But yeah, we like to go there. It is a very peaceful, quiet place to just kind of spend some time there, and it's beautiful. There's the water that you will see, it's basically dams. It's not lakes because it's man-made. They use it for irrigation and stuff. So, but it's a very beautiful place. So I'll show you a little bit about that. Okay, and so I took a few clips of his parents' yard, and they have a small dairy farm, which is always interesting. My parents used to have a small dairy farm as well, but it's been years. So I'll show you their small dairy farm a little bit. That's how he grew up, helping with cows, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. So next I will insert some footage and do a voiceover on a little bit more about the area that we grew up at, a little bit more of the Mexican towns and the city that is closest to us, and where we went shopping, and a little bit more of that. But I think I'm gonna do a voiceover on that. I think it's just gonna be a little bit easier for me. But yeah, hope that all will make sense, because I'm not the best at explaining things. But I hope you enjoy. Okay, for those of you who are familiar with Mexico, that is very typical in Mexico. Lots of fruit stands and vendors on the side of the streets. And there's more vendors, as you saw. We actually bought a hammock off of those guys, and I'm very excited to use it this summer. And this is a very small town that is close to us, about 15 minutes, and that is the closest town that is actually to our place. And there's lots of different businesses, restaurants, grocery stores, basically your typical needs, you will find it there. And yeah, this is a pollo restaurant. It's a very unique restaurant, as you can see, a very old restaurant. And if you don't know what pollo is, it is basically grilled chicken, and we really enjoy it. It doesn't look very appetizing if you don't know what it is, but it is actually very good. So if you go to Mexico, try it and see if you like it. Obviously some restaurants have better pollo than others, but anyways, and this highway, that is the highway in between Rubio, the small town that we were at, and Cuauhtemoc, the closest city to us. And it's about 30 kilometers, I would say, that is in between Rubio and Cuauhtemoc. Maybe it's a little bit more, I'm not sure. And there's just lots of businesses, as you can see. It's just business after business, and car dealers, restaurants, hotels, fabric shops, and factories. Lots of big factories along the highway. And yeah, it's just interesting. And this is where we would do most of our shopping and most of our business, usually. I didn't grow up going to the city a whole lot, although my parents have started going to the city a little bit more in recent years. But yeah, this is where we would do our shopping and all our business because there's basically everything you can think of. And what is interesting, I would say 99% of this is owned by Mennonites, which is interesting. It's just a very large Mennonite community. And as you can see, this is just some places, some houses and stuff like that. And I always struggle what to call this. Is it villages? Is it communities? I don't know. I do like to call it villages because it's kind of like little villages here and there, and it looks very different from one village to the next. Some have really nice houses, some have very old houses. As you saw the house that I grew up in, you would find lots of that too, but also very nice places like this. So it's just a lot of different sceneries when you drive around. But yeah, this is all Mennonites. As I said, it's a very large Mennonite community, and it's just interesting going around different streets and looking at the different places and kind of seeing how everybody has their yard, I guess. I like to look at different places and get ideas for yards. Some of the yards are super nice, and yeah, it's just fun to drive around. And this is actually in the city, in Cuauhtemoc, and that is the closest city, as I said. And I've taken you along to Chihuahua before in a recent video, and yeah, that is about 2 hours from our place, and this is only about 45-50 minutes from us. So yeah, this is the city. Yeah, just your typical Mexican city, I guess. Yeah, but I'm not very familiar with it, as I said, because we didn't go there a whole lot, but anyways, it's kind of fun to drive around there as well. It's very different scenery than the villages or the Mennonite communities, which is interesting. And yeah, this is an ice cream shop where we like to get ice cream. They have really good ice cream. Johnny got an ice cream, I got a milkshake. They have also really good milkshake. Basically, whatever I've tried so far is really good. So, yeah. And this is another scenery. As you can see, it looks completely different again, and that is because it's a little bit more north. And yeah, I just took you along. This was actually on our way back to Canada. I just kind of wanted to show you how quickly the scenery changes in Mexico. And this is even a little bit further north, and this is actually a pecan garden. They grow pecans, pecan trees, and yeah, it's just interesting. And then a little bit further north, there's lots of sand, desert, and yeah, and also lots and lots of garbage, as you can see. I wish the camera picked it up a little bit better, but yeah, that's another part of Mexico. And then this is the typical thing that you would see about Mexico. If you see pictures or something of Mexico, this is probably what you're seeing. And yes, that is a part of Mexico. It's very true. So there's just lots of different scenery. Okay, I think that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe you learned something new, maybe not. Whatever, it's okay. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and for being here. And thank you so much for all your support. It just means the world to me that you're all here. And yeah, I'm just blown away of the support that people have given me, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.